Live from Fargo and serving you on TV, online, and on the go. This is Valley News Live at 6.
2 people are in the hospital, including a Grafton police officer, following a shootout in Grafton, North Dakota last night. Around 11:56, officials attempted to arrest a man with outstanding federal warrants. They say the man ran away while firing several rounds at officers. A Grafton police officer was shot. Authorities say they exchanged gunfire with the man, who was also hit. Both were taken to Unity Medical Center in Grafton before being transferred to All True Hospital in Grand Forks. Officials say the names will be released at a later time. The investigation is ongoing. A Minnesota woman was arrested after leading North Dakota state troopers on a high-speed chase this morning. Around 7 a.m., a 911 call reported a car heading the wrong way on the I-29 Thompson exit. Authorities say the car turned around and followed the reporting party into the Hillsboro rest area, where 28-year-old Samantha Carmichael tried getting into their vehicle, following them when they drove off. A state trooper tried to pull her over just north of Fargo. That's when Carmichael took off, reaching speeds of 100 miles per hour. The chase ended south of Fargo after Carmichael drove over spike strips. She was charged with driving under the influence of drugs, fleeing, driving while having her license revoked, and reckless endangerment. After seeing some serious storms the last couple days, activity continues for parts of our region. Our First Alert meteorologist Nathan Hopper joins us with the very latest in a first look at our forecast. Nathan?
Yeah, Katie, a very active few days, and the good news is for most of us things are quiet, but we will be watching for the potential of some severe weather in northern Minnesota for this evening. That's where we do have a severe thunderstorm watch going until 11 p.m. for all those counties. They're shaded in yellow. Notice for our friends in Grand Forks, you are included in this, but there's still some uncertainty as to where these storms will develop. So I think things should also stay pretty quiet in Grand Forks for this evening. But the radar shows one storm just north of Grand Forks at this time. It is considered a strong storm, just got one bolt of lightning. The first bolt of lightning we've gotten on this storm all afternoon happened about 15 minutes ago. You can see as we loop this, this lightning should pop up there, but did see that one lightning bolt there. This is just north end east of Grand Forks. Some small hail and some gusty winds upwards of 40 miles per hour are possible in the storm just south of Warren. Also looking off toward the north where there is a Canadian warned severe storm north of Roseau heading toward the south and east. So we'll look to see if that does indeed make its way across the American border and the United States issues a severe storm on that. Now the Canadian Weather Service and the American Canadian Service have different criteria for severe weather. So we are of course watching very carefully, Katie, the potential of this severe weather. So we'll break down possible impacts for this evening and break down the hour by hour for these severe storms coming up in a couple minutes.
All right, thank you so much, Nathan. We have updated numbers on COVID-19. Minnesota is reporting another 696 confirmed cases of COVID-19, along with 6 new deaths linked to the illness. In total, 1,699 deaths have been attributed to the disease. In North Dakota, there are 129 new cases. No new deaths are being reported. The death toll sits at 121. People who have tested positive for the COVID-19 virus don't need to be tested again for up to 3 months, as long as they don't develop symptoms again. That's according to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention. The CDC's update suggests people who have recovered from the virus are protected from getting sick again for at least that long, based on studies that found that after 3 months, there was no evidence of people getting reinfected. Longer-term studies are needed to determine how long protection might last. With the state still recovering from months of economic slowdown due to the pandemic, the state's budget remains ahead of schedule. Through the month of July, North Dakota's tax revenues were 9% higher than projected, despite a 15% shortfall in sales tax. More notably, state income tax was more than double what was projected. The OMB director said that's because of many later filings.
Forecast, we assumed that the filing date would be April 15th, like it always is, and that we would see the majority of those tax filings come in the month of April. And of course, that date was changed through federal action, and we have to mirror that federal date. And so that date was extended to July 15th. And so we saw significant variance from our original forecast.
The budget forecast model was created before the pandemic and before hundreds of oil wells were shut down. A new forecast for this biennium and next will likely be out in September. More than 400 renters in 17 counties across the state were taking advantage of North Dakota's Emergency Rent Bridge program since its launch in May. The program provides temporary rent assistance for qualifying renters, and the Department of Human Services is reminding residents that this program is still available. To qualify, renters must earn 60% or below their area median income and live in a place of primary residency where there is an obligation to pay rent.
The renters are obligated to pay 30% of their household income towards their housing costs, and Rent Bridge will cover the difference.
Human service officials also want to remind housing providers that they must register with the program, as rent payments are made directly to them. Throughout the pandemic, tribal nations across the U.S. have been low on supplies, but North Dakota tribal communities say they've had a different experience. All tribes had a choice when the pandemic first began. They could either declare their own state of emergency and get aid from the president, or they could join the governor in working with the state. Ultimately, the tribes chose to stick with the state.
The tribes chose that, and I'm so glad they did that, because now you have access to all resources that the state has. Testing kits, PPE, data, labs, everything.
Scott Davis says the tribe's positive relationship with the state has been helpful during the pandemic, especially for their COVID-19 testing events. It's been a long year for a Jamestown family whose 13-year-old spent the last year battling a brain tumor. Doctors say Lane Gilbertson's tumor was found in December of last year. The family spent Christmas in the hospital, 6 weeks and 30 rounds of radiation to follow. As a result, Lane is in a wheelchair, but he's going to physical therapy and is getting better. Tonight, the community is celebrating him with dinner, music, and auctions to help raise money for the family.
The costs are insane. Even when you have decent insurance, you just don't realize. We had some remodeling to do at home to make the bathroom and his bedroom wheelchair accessible, and ramp out front, and some of that kind of stuff. So yeah, the support we've got has been phenomenal.
To find out how you can help the family, download the VNL News app. Later on Valley News Live at 6, USPS is making some changes and warns this could impact your mail-in ballot delivery time.
And seeing a non-severe storm right now just south of Warren and north and east of Grand Forks, which is where we have that photo there in the background of the Fargo's hourly forecast. See things stay pretty quiet in Fargo, but of course we'll talk about our potential of severe weather coming up here after the break.